96.1. This is the Metamorphosis Real Jet Talk Show. And I'm your host. I'm Dr. Iman Blak. No lack.
Where is your love, Jamaica? Where is your love, Jamaica? I can see your love, I can feel your love, touch your love, I don't know.
Yes, we need love in this post-Olympic era. Reality setting in. The games are over. Reality setting in. Bitter medicine time. Metamorphosis. For your edification. Towards the liberation. Metamorphosis. Reclaiming Black culture. Yes, give thanks for being here again. Give thanks for those who are in the position to listen and for those who are in the position to view. Yes, this is another opportunity to engage mind, soul, spirit, psyche, yeah, all the elements that are out there. Yeah, this is the Metamorphosis. This is a talk show that engages the thinking process, that emphasizes that thought is the power, and the power dwells within the eye. Yes, I'm always feeling very good to link with the people in Radio Land and the people in cyberspace. Because in this present dispensation, we need to have alternative ways of looking at the things that come in front of us. Metamorphosis provides an alternative. It's all about perspectives, not about insisting that you have the truth. It's about perspectives. So we share and we engage, and we hope that those who have been listening have been undergoing their own metamorphosis. We welcome those who are new to the program. There are things happening in the globe, of course, and I mentioned just a few seconds ago about a post-Olympic era. I think the world has been given a nice little respite from the distress in terms of entertainment. The Olympics has been a brilliant, brilliant piece of distraction that has earned many, many people billions and billions of dollars. Now that it is over, the world in general is now faced with what I'm going to call the realities. The realities that since the month of August, we here in Jamaica have been put away from those realities by emancipation celebrations, by independence celebrations, by Olympic celebrations, by even the celebrations of Marcus Garvey. And within all those celebrations, hidden behind that was a reality that is now about to face us. And the reality is social, the reality is economic, it's political, it is religious. So we're going to the metamorphosis, look at what is the reality now, that the games are over. And in the Jamaican context, what it really means now to face this bitter medicine. Because we heard about it for months. But of course, it was put on the sideline so that we could celebrate. And in the celebration, we hear that we have spent £1 million as a form of investment. And the society has chosen, the leaders have chosen to divide the society by one group saying it was money wasted, one group saying it was money well spent. And so we really don't sure what really has been the effect of the £1 million. All we know is that there's a quarrel. And so after emancipation and independence and the Olympics, we are still a bunch of quarrelers. We're still here struggling amongst ourselves. And while we struggle amongst ourselves, the Europeans and Americans are now celebrating the landing on Mars of a rover. Yeah, different realities. People here are struggling for employment. People here are struggling for home conditions. And we have, at the opposite end of the pole, a massive celebration in Europe and North America that a rover, a car-sized rover, has landed on Mars and made its first journey, traveling about 23 feet after traveling for 8.5 months over how many millions of miles. Serious disparities. And so we're going to look at it and see how does it really, all these things really affect I and I now as black people. Because we were brilliant in the Olympics. And now the Olympics is over and we are now faced with incidents like what's happening in Southern Africa, where black people now are being gunned down by forces who control the mines. Part of the reality. This is a platinum mine. And platinum is one of the most precious metals on the earth. And it is in South Africa that 80% of the platinums are produced. So we have to sort of take our head out of the sand and not just look at the gold medals, but look at the gold itself and look at the platinum. Where are these things really mined? Who are the miners? Why is it they have to engage the owners and be shut down for wages? Is that a sign of what's going to happen in other places? So the metamorphosis, looking at these issues as we go through our various segments, I word, sound, and power. Africa and world affairs, continue to deconstruct the mythologies and the fables. There's world views and news, and there's much in the news in terms of Africa, South Africa, in terms of Syria, in terms of Greece attempting to pull out of the Eurozone. How does that impact us here in Jamaica in a very short term? There's, of course, the world of sport, which I insist is a world by itself, and maybe even a more powerful world than the civil and the political societies. Then we're looking at skin deep, looking at the power of melanin, the link between the melanin, pineal gland, and maybe the same speed that is being shown by black people. Alpha and Omega, love and hate, Rastafari in the Caribbean, and as always, the important part of our process of transformation is through the sound. And the sound that we rely on is the sound of culture. And it is a culture that is really the last bastion of our survival in these times. You know, even locally, we see where the society is being tested, where men in high power are being arrested, and men who arrest them are being pulled over the coals. And we're seeing disparities, opening the eyes of the people, that justice may be just about who have just enough money. Just this amount of money. Yeah, it's serious. So the music is part of the liberation. Rastafari culture.
I and I don't make up I and I mind to go through the same thing like I and I forbearance go through. No people die. Cry blood, Africa, cry blood. Cry blood, Africa, cry blood. Cry blood. cry blood. Who dare them to say that? Cry. Africa cry blood. Cry Africa, cry blood. In foundation. If anyone should trouble, cry blood. Cry Africa, cry blood. No more invasion. No more black blood now go running a we go Jordan. No. Cry blood. Cry Africa, cry blood. It's about time African and African should come together. Sing the same song. Cry Africa, cry blood. The whole wide world feel it. When Africa continent cry, they cry blood.
Right now, the Africans are crying blood. Right in South Africa.
Cry.
Yes, over the minerals and the metals that are in Mother Earth.
Free up Africa.
Slavery has not been abolished. Slavery is happening right here on the planet Earth. Right in South Africa. Millions and millions of black people must go down into those mines like ants, burrowing into the earth, bringing up its treasures for white men. Yes, men who teach the philosophy of supremacy. Africans are still enslaved. But the Africans are enslaved in the mines. We think because we are on the bigger plantation, we are free. But the struggle is the same. It's about what they call wages. Yet they say the wages of sin is death. What about the wages of the income? Yeah, enough wages that we can pay the bills. That would give us life. Yeah, so before we even get into the essence of the stuff that I really want to share with that, I want to heal some persons. I want to heal up Joy. Joy in Mount Vernon, New York. That's my sister. Glad that you have been locked into styles and you cannot be unlocked anymore. Yes, we really, really like the participation of those who are not on the island. And of course, we can't do without those who are here. Very, very near, like all in a Springbank and all those places and Pastor Gardens and yeah, you know, the man called Dirks. So we're healing up Joy. And we're also healing up Kasha Blak in Toronto. Yeah, Kasha Blak manufactured this shirt that I am sort of profiling for those who can see Metamorphosis. In the back is Iman Black. Yeah, so Kasha, give thanks. Man, come all the way from Toronto. I feel up also Jachild who was passed through and also brought another t-shirt. So it looks like They understand say a t-shirt line is vital, you know. Yeah, so the line soon come out, yeah? Black shirt line. So we end up above here, Osa. Osa give me a link and say, tune in. And I hear up Osa Boro, the man who was sitting here whenever I am unable to. And of course, heal up to Makonnen. Yeah, so the metamorphosis now, it's about the African plight. Because as I said, the Olympics is over, and the Africans have shown that they are super in performing. All of a sudden now we are faced with the social realities, like of employment and the economy. And without even looking in Jamaica, we see what's happening in South Africa. And in South Africa, we have black people now who have been still controlled by the forces of the economics, have been really called workers. But when you get less than what you can feed yourself, you're no longer a worker, you're a slave. Because worker suggests that you're getting a meaningful wage to allow you to maintain yourself. Once you can't maintain yourself, you're slaving. You're slaving. That means that you're getting less than what you deserve, and somebody is getting maximum profits. So this goes on. And when we look at closer to home in Jamaica, we see where the governance is actually threatening now to take away the pension of the teachers. Yes, serious things happening in the social economics. We didn't hear about this during the Olympics, nor during the celebration. Now we hear that security issues, financial issues, and we understand that locally now the International Monetary Force is about to apply its force. And those who were posturing for wanting to be the leaders and telling us what they can do and what they can do, the reality is that they can do nothing. And the more people I think are waking up to the fact that these people who put up themselves for leadership can really do nothing. Because the country has already been sunk in debt by these same people over the last 20 years. So how do we relieve ourselves of this distress? We have to return to ourselves. And ourselves is being African. The identity becomes an important issue in resolving the crisis that we see. Can we identify with the miners in South Africa? Or are they Africans and we are Jamaicans? Yes, there was once a massacre, called Sharpeville Massacre, 1960. When the policemen them killed about over 60 black people protesting. Here we are in 2012, 50 odd years later, and we are seeing a repetition. So is it that the black people are going forward, or are we returning to that state of enslavement? But be very careful now, We have to look at the world, we have to look at who controls the economics. We have to use that our own intelligence to bring us to a different level of consciousness. But I want to say something that may be a little bit disturbing. Well, two things. We find that in Jamaica, our sound system is dying. And the sound system is dying primarily because they can't play beyond 2 o'clock in the morning. The whole industry is under distress. And the local police seem to be behaving in a way that, I don't really want to say that they are practicing anything illegal, but they're actually trying to force man to give up funds to keep them dance going. A nice word could be extortion. And we find that in the dancehall system now, where the culture is finding its own way because there are no jobs, a lot of the investment is going to waste, and it is driving away the people into more what we call underground activities. So the state must recognize the power of the culture. And if certain events can take place on the North Coast and go till 4 o'clock in the morning, not even a wake now can go beyond 2. Policeman invading setup. The thing is getting a little bit out of hand. And if we want to preserve our society, we have to allow the people at the base to express them culture, to earn them economics, because everything is connected. But I'm going to say something now, and this is what might be out of the box. As black people, when I say these hundreds and thousands of years of oppression, there's one idea, there's one concept that we all seem to be holding on to, irrespective of our social, economic, or political condition. This is a concept that in Jamaica we call Father God. It is a concept that some people call the Most High. And I want to try to tell her, because I'm questioning now the existence of this thing called the Most High. I'm challenging whether this thing exists as a reality. This thing that we keep calling about, this higher power. Every time we check black people and we're going to pressure, under pressure, we say, yeah man, the higher power will relieve us, and we give thanks to the higher power and the Most High. What is this Most High thing? And where does the Most High dwell? What is this Most High? I want somebody in the black community, who understand this language, tell me, because when I see level of oppression, like where is the Most High now relative to the miners in South Africa? Where is the Most High? Yeah? Where is the higher power? This spirit thing that we like to talk about, this spiritual father. Where is this spiritual father? Now that the men are on moon, are on the Mars, and they're going further out and say, where is this spiritual father? Where is this higher power that black people are being trained to call upon, which obviously the white man does not call upon? And yet he controls the earth, he controls the economy, and he controls space. Yeah, I challenging the notion of this higher power. Because if the higher power does not exist, then it is really only the power of the I.
All you could
Yeah, Brother Bonnie Wheeler. If we are in bondage, we have to move towards the liberation. And the liberation have to be viewed as a collective effort now, you know. I keep saying that freedom is a sort of individual thing. Liberation is a collective effort. We have to liberate our consciousness from ideas that enslave us. Now, I was thinking about how is the best way to speak about a chain. Because I hear about mental slavery. And I'm saying that if there's mental slavery, then there must be mental chains. But what does a chain look like? What does a mental chain look like? Obviously, it's something that we cannot see because it's not in the dimension of the visible. But what does a chain that is a mental look like? And I'm saying to help the item visualize this thing. If we think about things that are mental, and the tool that we have to really manipulate mentality is really words. So words can be very tricky. Words can be very deceptive. Words have different meanings as it's put in a different context. So let us look at a mental chain as a set of words. And at the end of those words, they are connected to a next set of words. So if you put a set of ideas together, a set of thoughts, we can create what we're going to call an idea. So thoughts can develop into ideas. It's really words that really express our thoughts. No, word therefore has a power. It has a power. And if we check our capacity to use language, we find that how we identify ourselves and the type of language we use really helps to define who we really are. Now, identity, critical for a collective movement towards liberation. The concept of identity. And I will keep exploring it, saying that, look, when the egg and the sperm connect and the being comes together, the two forces come together, there's an identity issue that develops right away. Because the two, egg and the sperm, in unity, now has what we call a sexual identity. Identity is either going to be male or female, basically speaking. So there's an identity issue at the biological level. There is an identity level at the level of race. Because the organs are put together at that early stage of the fetus, and there's a skin. It is the skin that helps to define the race of the being. So there are problems now with racial identity because people talk about mixed races and there's no way you can say persons are of a specific race, but within the realm of race, we have genes. And within the study of genetics, we know about dominant genes. And so when we use that perspective, we can see that within the notion of race, we have races that are dominant. The dominant race is the black race. That is a race that is in the billions and billions on the planet. Now, there's a third level of identity that I am saying emerges at the early point of conception. That besides the sexual and the racial, there is a spiritual identity. And this spirit identity comes through our racial lineage, it comes through our genetic powers, it comes through our ancestors. And this spiritual identity is what the forces of the enslavers have captured. They have captured our spiritual identity and have locked it up in boxes that we call religion. And in these boxes of religion, we are being given certain dogmatic beliefs. And these beliefs now what we're going to use to help to build or reinforce or even destroy our spirit. One of the most potent words that have been put into our consciousness is the word of Jesus. That word resonates through millions and millions of black people having different meanings. Now, earlier, a listener texting, asking for a song. My engineer made me speak, make me speak about, let me talk to myself a little bit, because the song was titled Jesus at the Wheels. Jesus take the wheel. Now, to my listener, the best day to really hear a song like that would be on a Sunday. But I will speak to you a little bit about Jesus and the wheel, because this wheel that we have been told that Jesus must control is our wheel of life. And we have been convinced to put our spiritual life in the hands of an image called Jesus. Very, very serious transition taking place here now. This is why they baptize and christen and do certain things. It is an effort to control the spirit of the black man. Yes, and the spirit is really coming out of our genetic lineage. It's coming out of our racial history. It's coming out of an almost unfathomable past. So what the Europeans have done is create these methods of thinking and have trapped the spirit of the African in its early inception. So before we know ourselves, we have been baptized and we've been called Saint this. And all of us as black people who are imbibed in Christianity have all been baptized in the name of Jesus. So the word Jesus now becomes a symbol of entrapment, not a symbol of liberation. It's a symbol of holding. It's a symbol that holds the consciousness of black people, particularly the women. And so our identities have been confused with Christianity. That we are now trying to be more like Jesus than being like ourselves. Metamorphosis, exploring identity. Are we not all Africans? Yeah, so we're looking at the spiritual identity, the spiritual I, the spirit I. That spirit I has been captured by two major religions in the life of black people. It has been captured by Islam, or been captured by Christianity. And for I and I in the Western world, most of the African spirit have been captured within Christianity. And if you explore Christianity, Christianity is the doctrine that tells I and I about our beginning and tells I and I about our spirit, that we get our spirit from the Lord. And so right away we get the miseducation begins, that the spirit no longer comes from the divinities of our African ancestry and our past. The spirit is now coming from the Lord. So right away we are disconnected, from our own self, because our spirit being that is called into existence with the meeting of the egg and the sperm, it is now being diverted away from its natural self into a set of belief system. And this belief system tells the spirit that it must be saved. First of all, we are told that we must now try to save the spirit. And in order to save the spirit now, we must take up the belief system of believing in Jesus the Savior. And in believing in Jesus the Savior, our spirits will live forever. Now this everlasting concept of everlasting life is natural to the spirit because the spirit has no beginning and the spirit has no end. So there's nothing that can save the spirit nor give the spirit everlasting life. The spirit is already everlasting life. The spirit is eternal. So there's no need to join an organization to save something that is already eternal. But the teaching goes on. And so the spirit of the African, this is what has been captured, It is the African spirit, that aspect of his identity, his spiritual identity, captured by religion. And in that capture, we have been socialized to believe now that there is this higher power. And that the spirit must surrender. That we must surrender our will to this higher power. And I'm saying, what is this higher power? Wait there. And what does this higher power do for I and I? What is this most high? Is it about the best herb? Who is the most high? I'm saying that these are concepts. These are ideas that have been given to us. And we don't review them because we are afraid. We are afraid that our spirits will not go to heaven. So it is within the spirit talk, the concept of the spiritual identity, that the black man has been trapped and totally bamboozled. So beyond the spirit, there is a racial identity, which is being attacked while we are now bleaching and burning. And then the identity of our gender is also being attacked because now women are telling me that there are no men and men are no women. Black people, let us recognize that in the landing on Mars, there are no black people involved in the research. In the scientific researches and the development of technology, we're not seeing black people, we're seeing black people as consumers. We're seeing black people as simply slaves. And I'm saying we must liberate our spirits, liberate the spiritual aspect of our identity. And then we can begin to focus on building economic foundation. Because Garvey tells us, in order to build economic strength as African people, it must be built upon the consciousness of being African. It is African identity. It is the spirit aspect of being African that we must liberate. Metamorphosis, Blaz FM. Yeah, we're looking at the spirit, the identity aspect of man, that is called the spirit. So we're saying there's a sexual identity, there's a racial identity, and there's the identity of the spirit. What is the spirit? What is the African spirit? What is the black spirit? Because until we can identify those forces, we can't really talk about being free. The religious educational system, the religious systems place the African generally in these two categories of being Christian or being Muslim. or being Islamic. And because we are in the Western world and we are dominantly English and so forth, it is Christianity that is a driving force behind the enslavement of the African spirit. Within the whole teachings, we have been given the King James Version. And within that Bible holds the stories that speak to us about our spirit. Number one, we were told that we were created by the Creator. And we were given a spirit because breath was blown into man, into this being called Adam. And that begins our journey in the discussion about spirit. So African people now, black people in this Western world, we're not seeing our spirit as coming from our ancestors. We think it is coming from some higher power. And this higher power has no positive effect on black people because we have been enslaved under the higher power for the last 1,000 years. So why do we need to be calling out to this Most High? Why don't we begin to call out to the Most High that is within ourselves? Yeah, man, because look here, man. Things going on for so long, things are getting worse. And all that is consistent is our hope into faith about this being that we are constructed called a creator. Yeah, we're going to go right to the core of the matter now because it is a belief system that tells us that there is this creator, this almighty creator that created everything. And so once you hold on to that notion, once you hold on to the notion of a creator, it stops you from thinking about what created the creator. Yeah, because the whole notion of unmoved mover, and it becomes a philosophical issue about time being suspended and time starting again. So when we talk about our spirits cannot come from a biblical genesis. Our spirits come from our ancestors who are ancient in time. So if we can disconnect from that higher power, that is our ultimate slave owner, because it is the higher power that controls the mind. So the European, in his emancipation process of releasing Africans from chattel slavery, ensured that the mind and the spirit of the African would remain trapped. And it is trapped within ideas. And the idea of a creator is just what it is. It is an idea. But we have become slaves to the creator idea, never once questioning the nature or the being of this thing called the creator. What created the creator? Who created the creator? How can the creator create itself out of nothing if there is nothing before the creator? So we have to engage that type of discussion fearlessly and abandon the fear of heaven and hell and begin to think, because thought is the power of the black man. So the spirit needs to be liberated. We have to liberate the spirit from out of that version of creation. The spirit is essential. Spirit is black. Spirit is African. to just sort of wrap up this the segment about the spirit. I have to speak about the spirit of Rastafari. Yeah, because you see, within the whole notion of spirit now, it is such an essential part of our being that the Western plantation generally were locked into Christianity. And so the spirits of the Africans were all being defined as Christians, because if you're not a Christian, you're defined as a heathen. That was a dichotomy that would face the definition of African identity within the level of the spirit. So we were told that you could be one or the other. You're either a heathen or you're a Christian in your spirit. And so most of us were forced to become Christian spirits. And in that Christianity, the Roman Catholic Church became the dominant ruler. And so Rome, which ruled the world, expressed its power also not only militarily, but expressed its power through the church. And so the Roman Catholic Church became a dominant force across the planet, spreading the teaching of white supremacy, hidden behind the imagery of the Savior called Jesus. So the identity of the black people became entwined with this image of this white Jesus, this blue-eyed, blonde-haired fellow, who was really an image drawn by Michelangelo, which was given to the black people as this imagery of the Savior. So within the Roman Catholic, though Rome fell militarily, Rome continued in the ecclesiastic. They continued in the world of controlling the spirit of the black people. They technically lost a lot of their lands, but they control the heads and the minds of the black people. So the church becomes a bastion of control. The Roman Catholic Church breaks up into the Anglican and splits into become the Anglican Church. So we have black people's spirits now are being divided between Christians, Catholics, and Christian Anglicans. And there's a further break from Anglicans to Protestants. And the Protestants become Methodists, and the Methodists transform and breaks it down further to we have the Baptists, and we have the Pentecostal, and we have all these various groups of what we call denomination of spirit. So the African spirit has been splintered into all these various denominations. That in 1930, when the split became unbearable and people of African origin really started searching for themselves, it was really Rastafari who began to put forward a new spirit, a spirit that was grounded in Africa, a spirit that was black, a spirit that recognized divinity in black people. And so Rastafari has brought to the consciousness the spirit of liberation. It has brought the spirit of blackness. And so it has been resisted by all other groups, because all other groups are just representation of that supremacy of white ideology. Rastafari brings to the table black consciousness, brings to the table the spiritual identity of our African ancestors. Rastafari allows us to look into Africa for our own spiritual solution. We look to ancient Egypt. We look to the pyramids. We look to ourselves.
The work of the Lord is perfect, and the coming of his judgment is soon. Make haste while you may. Tomorrow is another day.
Shall the children follow in Babylon by day?
Why would you fight dancing, brother? It's in Babylon, Lord, Jaja children. So you got
hands to lead us forward to the promised land.
Then we'll be going to a land of happiness and joy, a land of peace, total togetherness, and then we walking together. Don't we say we love one another, to love the other children, and so I say to love them well. There's so many only time.
African World Affairs. Our story on the metamorphosis. This is the segment of the program where we zero in on Africa in a historical way to remind ourselves of ourselves. Because we seem to be suffering from a type of amnesia. We quickly forget who we are, what we have done. And we tend to be repeating the same errors as we go through time. So there must be a change in our methodology, and that change may require a new approach to knowledge. Because we've been socialized to pursue an education. But there's evidence that the education has not led to our own liberation, but has kept us lock and key. The education system seems to keep us at a level where we remain slaves and workers on the plantation. Education doesn't encourage us to become owners of property nor owners of capital. So what we need is knowledge. And knowledge about ourselves, first and foremost. Accurate knowledge. Part of that knowledge is knowing who we are as an individual and as a people. We are African people, we are black people in the Western world. And in that blackness, we must find our unity and our strength, because it is in the non-blackness that those persons have also found their unity. Yes, in their non-blackness, they have a unity. Africa is a very critical continent. It has always been, but even so more now. Earlier I spoke about the space project that right now as I speak, there's a little rover being driven by some men from NASA, and the rover is on Mars. And it takes about 8.5 months traveling to get to Mars. 352 million mile trip. What am I say? 352 million miles of traveling to get to Mars. This mission is costing $2.5 billion. And what we have created is the most sophisticated spacecraft ever sent to Mars. Now, while these things are taking place, Africa at this moment is the feeding ground for the minerals and the metals that are going into the research and the travel. One of the important elements of Africa, besides its minerals, is its leadership. And we need to just bring to the forefront the importance of the women. Because there's no liberation until a woman tight up herself, A man alone, male alone, cannot be liberated. It is a black female who really holds the key to the liberation of the race. Number one, she is in greater number. And number two, she's highly influential, particularly in the construction of the family system. So when we begin to reposition the black woman, then we begin to reposition the whole construct of the black family. On the African continent, we have been hearing about, through biblical history, we hear about a lot of great kings. So within the consciousness of black people and our hero worshipping, we worship kings like David. We worship kings like Solomon. We worship kings like Nebuchadnezzar. These are the kings that we have been given in biblical history. However, within that whole socialization, we're not given much about queens. Because if you check out how the King James Version is put together, it's by a set of men. Literally speaking, a set of men. And these men had no regard for females. King James and his authors thought that females were slaves. And it's demonstrated in the European culture that the woman actually is a slave to the white man. So the queens, though not recognized as important elements of European culture and the Bible, are central to African family systems. Now, the Bible again tells about these great kings. But I want to juxtapose a great queen against one of the biblical kings. The king that we have been given much rating over is this king called Solomon. And Solomon is given the title of being this wisest man. No, nobody can show me or tell me what is it that Solomon did that gave him the title of the wisest man. What was his action? What did he do to be classified as the wisest man in the world? This is a very, very serious thing. When Bolt runs and he does 9.58, we know that Bolt is the fastest runner on the track. What is it that Solomon has done to be the wisest man in the world? So, again, we have been given an image of this man that we read. But I want us to look at the queen. Because it's Sheba. Queen of Sheba in the story is given a secondary role. She almost coming like a supplementary to the cast because Solomon is the star. What you say in Ethiopian tradition, Solomon is not the star. Solomon is a subplot. Solomon is a co-star because the star of the show is really the queen. This is the mighty queen of Sheba coming out of Ethiopia. This is an Ethiopian queen. Great power in Africa. This Ethiopian queen, whose empire controlled the entire world, could not have been overly impressed with a young king in Palestine called Solomon. Solomon was a young youth, a little youth, who Sheba was impressed with was Solomon's architect. His name was Hiram Abif. And it's because of Hiram Abif why Makeda made that journey to Solomon's empire. It wasn't about Solomon. It was about the architecture, because she wanted Hiram Abif to come to Ethiopia to help construct some of the pyramids and build churches. But the version we get is that Solomon Cannar and Sexar and have a child. And then we rate up Solomon because him fall, you know, him had sex with Sheba and had a son. Well, that is a very one-sided perspective of Solomon and Sheba, because Sheba was the mightier of the two. Sheba controlled the Egyptian empire, Ethiopia. Solomon came from a small place called Palestine. So we're saying much credit must be given to our black women. And though the Bible doesn't rate women, black people, we must recognize ourselves that the African queens are rulers. And there has been Hatshepsut, and there have been other great leaders who have been women in Africa. We must recognize that in Africa, the woman is queen. Metamorphosis.
African children are living in a concrete situation. African children, they don't know where you're coming from, no. African children, right here in a mean world garden. African children. All of the nations that living in these tenements are crying and applying to the council for assistance. Their tribulation, it's so sad. Their environment, it is so bad. High-rise concrete, no backyard for the children to play. African children are living in a concrete situation. African children, whoa, well, they don't know where you're coming from. African children, whoa, no, whoa. African children. All the people what living in these tenements, bring it down. Africa, stone wall, concrete cubicle. Their rent increasing every other day. Structural repairs assessed and never done. Lit out of action on the 27th floor. And when the thing works, don't you know it smell now? African children.
And what of Winnie Mandela? What of Winnie Mandela?
How many African children, they're right here in the carnival. How many African children, they must know where we're coming from. Special request to the Halstead posse. Special request to the Paddington posse. Special request to the Brixton posse. Special request to the Narrow Grove posse. In a concrete situation, African children. They don't know
I want us to review Winnie Mandela, you know. Yeah, Winnie Mandela has been lost. And Winnie Mandela has been a bastion for the liberation of black people. But somehow, she has been sidetracked. And we have lost her in the whole struggle. And the face of Africa was held up for many, many years in the imagery of Winnie Mandela. Because while Nelson Mandela was locked away in Robben Island, Winnie Mandela was the face of the revolution. This again is the African woman holding her front, holding the fort. And Winnie Mandela, of course, at one point in time was sentenced to 6 years in prison because it was called complicity in the kidnapping and beating of 4 youths. They accused her of being complicit, of being a part of the whole agreement. And what has happened to Winnie Mandela? I am personally concerned. I would like someone to help bring us up to date, because when Nelson Mandela was released, it was all about South Africa. It was all about apartheid supposedly coming to an end. And in this end of apartheid, it was Nelson Mandela that was projected as the new leader. And in this new leadership, it was all about forgiveness, about no revenge. It was about peace and tranquility amongst black people. It was a heavy-handed toning down of the revolutionary energies. And Winnie Mandela was distanced from the whole new leadership. And I am without much information as to how is it we could allow the woman who kept this fire burning to be suddenly put out. And in return, the South Africans were released from bondage of not being able to play in international sport. South Africa is a country that is driven by mining, and it comes right forward to today, wherein the mining industry exploiting black labor. And when black labor resists, they are gunned down. It's the same South Africa. So they say apartheid has been dismantled and Nelson Mandela is free. I say apartheid continues and we must resurrect Winnie Mandela. Metamorphosis, that's FM. Yeah, we must resurrect Winnie Mandela. Apartheid is alive and well.
African blood is flowing through my veins. So I and I shall never fade away.
You must recognize African blood. It's what links us.
African blood is flowing through my veins. So I and I shall never fade mash up the wrong. Stand for the right and mash up the wrong.
Yeah, we're looking at the Winnie Mandela. We want to resurrect Winnie Mandela, you know. Yeah, we need to resurrect that woman. Bring her phone into the forefront of the struggle again. Because Nelson has come and softened up the thing. Yeah, made us all feel now as though we are now free. There's no more resistance. Resistance struggle has died because Nelson Mandela has now been free. It's one of the biggest illusions created in the minds of black people. It happened in the 1990s, early 1990. So as soon as they released Mandela, black people felt as though apartheid ended. And because of the end of apartheid, it meant the whole world was just in one love. And so Bob Marley tune became very relevant. But it's the biggest deception. It's the biggest deception that has hit black people since Columbus' discovery. Because what is happening is that we have lost sight of South Africa. Recognizing that South Africa is really the richest and the most advanced economy in Africa. But it is controlled by white people. And to remove the illusion of control, they released Mandela. But in releasing Mandela, they have put Winnie Mandela out to pasture. And so the real revolutionary spirit that was burning while Nelson was getting soft, the media got together with certain forces and have sidelined Winnie Mandela. It is for I and I to bring forward this woman into the struggle, bring her forward to the forefront. Because when Nelson passes away, what will be the next forum? What will be the next front line of resistance? Is it that we all now become slaves to the Martian project? Because the world is undergoing real changes. And space is the new frontier. And as soon as they get themselves more organized and need inhabitants of space, I'm saying the first set of Martian colonists could really be the black people. You have to check yourself, you know. You have to check yourself. Because they're going to need workers on Mars. They're going to need a colony. Who are going to be the first colonists? Who are going to be the first set of workers on the planet Mars? Think about it. Think about it. Where is this higher power? Who will save us? Only we can save ourselves through knowledge. Metamorphosis, here for the change.
One, Skipper George.
down vulture. I and I are the living dread. In this dawn of the living dead. I and I are the living dread. In this dawn of the living dead. I and I living out there. Very superstitious, writings on the wall. Very superstitious, letters about to fall. 13-month-old baby broke the looking glass. 7 years of bad luck, you put things in your past. When you believe in things that you don't understand, and you suffer. Superstition ain't the way. Yeah. Ooh, very superstitious. Wash your face and hands. Let me go the problem. Do all that you can. Keep me in daydream. Keep me
Yeah, Metamorphosis getting the superstition while some wicked thunder roll. And car on going up and things happening here in Jamaica, you know. Yes, we are actually in a tropical storm watch on the island. And it's a very kind of tricky time here because we see when rain fall here in Jamaica, enough washout go on. Enough swamp out go on. Right now, there's a place in St. Ann where the people have been marooned. They're not maroons, you know. They have been marooned. All the way I say maroon is not a type of people, you know, it's a condition. And in this swamping, we come to the fact that people in Jamaica live in places that are not designed as places of proper habitation. Houses are built in gullies. A lot of lack of preparation goes into how we do things here oftentimes. And so there's always a panic and an emergency when a crisis sets up. So we're hoping that this, what is one name? Ignition. What is hurricane name? This potential storm named Isaac or something like that. Passing through. We hope we don't get too much damage because we can't manage it right now. But within the program of the Metamorphosis now, we're looking at mythologies. And we want to debunk some of these mythologies. Not only deconstruct them, we want to debunk them, mean throw them out. I want to start by looking at the whole, continue along the theme of looking at women. And the fact that black people, yeah, JPS lad. So we're still live on the internet while we engage in a technical issue right here. But the idea of women, this section now is going to design to help women to look into themselves. This is from a man perspective, but is using philosophy and religion as our tools. Now, when we hear about women now and black women, we hear say woman is the mother of creation. And we hear that the African woman is the mother of creation. So if we accept that and then read the King James Version of the Bible, are we saying that Eve is the mother of creation? Are we saying that Eve is an African woman? Because we have to be very careful now in the black people. Because this character called Eve has not been a positive character. And do we want to claim Eve as the source of our Genesis? Is she the first black woman? Because we have to be careful. We have to be very, very careful now. because some characteristics have been attached to this Eve that are created by human minds in defining what this first woman should look like. What should be her behavior? What should be her responsibilities? Now, the first thing we have to ask ourselves now, as woman, is it true that Eve really was made, or that the woman was made out of a man? Should we accept that? And we're saying to the woman, them, do you want to accept that you are a offshoot of a male? Do you accept that you are a helpmeet and that the male is superior to you? Because this is the beginning of the division and of divide and rule at the gender level. To see we here as black man holding on to a story that we now are superior to our black woman. And in this superior behavior, we tell her that she must be seen but not be heard. We tell her that she no longer has any thought power, that she's all emotional and has no logic. And on that basis, we have defined our black woman as a helpmeet. There's also the idea of the Bible insisting that evil enters the world through the female. Who could write such a story? Certainly not a woman. There's no way a woman could write a story of the evil entering the world through herself. So we as men must begin to re-examine who are the writers of these stories, knowing our African history, where women have been queen and women have been rulers. So if we re-examine Eve, this whole notion of Eve, and is Eve really a female that symbolizes the black woman? What about the Chinese woman? What is her genesis? Does she also come from the rib of a man? Or does she come from the black woman? We must interrogate these ideas. Because if the woman is the source of our life, then it could be that man actually came out of woman. Because in reality, that's how man born. Yeah, man, more thunder rolling right here on Jamrock. So who is the source of life? Is it the male or is it the female? Or is it that both depend upon each other and therefore none is superior to the other? You know, if you read the Genesis again, in the very first chapter, when the Creator says it made man and woman, male and female, created they both, it's a separate creation story from the Adam and Eve. What I'm saying to the I&I listeners is that we have to begin to make the distinction in the Genesis story, the difference between the creation of the female and the creation of Eve. These are two separate entities. Male and female created he them, and Eve coming out the rib of Adam. Black woman, identity, with debunking Eve. Yes, working out this whole thing about woman. Yeah, the original woman. And how does the original woman fit into the story and the history of black people? Because we have to work with the King James, because they gave us that. But we also are able to work ourselves out of it. Because woman in the King James Version always represents evil. And if we are to attach that to our black woman, then we will never have the respect and the love that we need. Because we keep seeing her as a source of evil. Now, you see, if we even get a little bit more complicated in the analysis, we'll look at that Genesis again, and try to sort out where woman come from, We see that we have these two creation stories. So this higher power now that we claim is responsible now for this creation. In the first book, says, let us make man, male and female, created he them. So there's a male and a female within that creation story. But then we hear in Genesis 2, there's a second creation. Now this is the creation of woman. And I'm saying that the female and woman seem to be two different entities. Yeah, yes, bear with me for a minute. Here it is written, male and female created he them. And these males and females were sent out to multiply and replenish the earth. And so it was. But now we are even given a next story. That there's this being that is made out of the dirt. That is put to sleep. And out of this sleeping being is taken a bone that is going to make a woman. And I'm saying, make us stop and think, black people. Because the first story tells us that the female has already been created. And now we're hearing about this being called a woman that is coming out of this thing called Adam. And this what you call this evolution, this cloning, is what is supposed to represent the female. But we stop and check, because this other woman now becomes a problematic. Because this other woman now is going to be tempted by some serpent, and she's going to break the laws set up by the higher power, and then they're going to pass on the responsibility of breaking the law to this dude called Adam, and then he's going to say he didn't know because it is a woman that a set of deception, a set of confusion begins in that story. And I'm saying the African woman does not belong in that story. Black people do not belong in that story of Eve and Adam. Because the Genesis tells us that in the beginning, the Creator said, let us make man, males and females, created he them. So you see, if we can deal with the higher power must be the power that is responsible for the creation of I and I. Yes. And if the higher power that we are given is the creator of Eve, and we fall in the generation of Eve, then we are doomed before we even start. So this is the black woman who is mighty. She has to begin to disconnect herself from the story of Eve. Yes, because the story of Eve cannot be the beginning of black woman. And that black woman that we know, who is a ruler of empires, could not have come out of a man's rib. That black woman that we know is equivalent to the black man. The male and the female together creates that unity. So what we're saying now, we are debunk the myth of evil. That evil comes from Eve, and that Eve was a first woman, and that first woman was a black woman. Yeah, but if we re-examine it, because woman is the source of life. The female is the source of life. What this woman thing is, I don't know. Because look at it even in terms of language. The plural of woman is woman. Because the plural of man is men. Yeah? Plural of man is men. Plural of woman is woman. But you see, we hear that we are now human beings. And the plural of human is not human. They say it is humans. And we wonder why the change in the interpretation of the pluralization of man. Woman is woman, and human is not human. We are all humans. And you will look about that word human, we find that it's not even in the scriptural beginning, because the higher power didn't say, let us make human. The higher power said, let us make man. And so we can reclassify humans as Adam and Eve creation. The human is not man. Yeah. Metamorphosis.
Yes, we're getting stronger. And Babylon I get weaker. Yes, we're stepping up stronger. Coming harder. Ain't looking back, feeling stronger. Ready to launch the attack. Do you remember when we were the cream of the crop? Is the Bible. And the carbon we got, they took us away from Africa with an intention to kill our culture. But through the power of the Most High, our mental capacity get wider. Coming harder, ain't looking back, feeling stronger. Ready to launch the attack. Do you remember when we were the cream of the crop? They stole our Bible. And the carbon we got, this is the time to live as his one. Help your brother man from out of the slum. It's no crime. If blood that we run to liberate yourself, you have to live in the sun. Coming harder, ain't looking back, feeling stronger. Ready to launch the attack. Remember when we were the cream of the crop, they stole our Bible.
So they stole the Bible. And the carbon copy tells us that there are two beings. One is called female, one is called woman. And I'm saying within the black race, what is it? Is it that she's a black female or she's a black woman? How do we define ourselves? Because what is this woman? Woman, woe unto man. Trouble has just begun. What is more dominant in the definition? Is it being female or is it being woman? What is the precedent? What do you have to be before you can be the other? Can you be a woman before you are a female? You have to be a female first. The female is the foundation. So we don't know what woman means. Some women have tried to call it womb man, W-O-M-B, saying that it is a man who has a womb. All sort of redefinitions. And at the foundation, he is a female. So it is the Genesis story that is causing the confusion. Not only is it the Genesis story that brings a woman into disrepute, when we look at the story of the kingdom of heaven before the creation, we don't hear about any women there. The women are lacking in the kingdom of God. And I'm saying to the women, where are the women in the world of the deities? There are no divinities amongst the females. Is it that the black woman just suddenly appear on the earth through some ribs? What about the cosmology of black people? I'm sure within ancient cultures, we know about the divinities of the males and the females. But what we're running up into now, in this time, is that the story of the kingdom of heaven speaks only of angels. And these angels are all described as males. I want to put across to the eye them who are listening that even if we take that story as what is given, you know, when you read about the bright morning star that was made by the Creator, this bright morning star was considered to be the most beautiful angel in heaven. I am using my interpretation of beautiful to apply to females. And I'm saying that this is a description of a female angel. The most beautiful angel was Lucifer. And Lucy had all the power of creation. I'm saying Lucifer represented a female. And that the so-called struggle in heaven was not a struggle between good and evil, but it was a struggle between the male and the female for leadership, as it is today. Metamorphosis. The struggle over who's in charge.
Lift up your head and hold it up high. We know that we'll win the fight.
Time getting harder, still we striving for better. And we not gonna stop till the battle is won and we get justice. Cause if you lose your stand, anyone will try to push you over, over and over. Lift up your head and hold it up high.
lifting up the black female. We're lifting up the African female. We want to raise the dignity of the African female. Recognize that she is a leader within her own self. She's no slave. The African female is a leader in her own right. So African male, we have to unite with African female. We don't know what the woman means. A woman seems to carry a lot of other baggage in his identity. Because sometimes the woman is struggling to prove that she's superior to the man. The female ought not to struggle with the male. Because if we look in nature and see that there are roles and responsibilities, the male and the female. What is this woman thing? I don't know. Yeah, metamorphosis, moving through time and space, respecting the female. Because you say, I man nothing to know illusion about man being superior to woman, you know. We're not joining that, you know. We're not encouraging that great divide. We're saying there's no superiority struggle between African male and African female. We understand our roles. We understand the power of the African female. We understand the leadership abilities of the African male. So, we understand ourselves. And what we want to do is let the African female know herself as a divinity. Because the Christian teaching takes her from the divine world and makes her merely mortal. And I know that the African queen is a mighty, mighty female. So what we want to do is redefine our people, redefine ourselves. We don't know what woman mean. Some people say woe unto man, but it's never anything positive. Because the culture of Europe has never had anything positive to say about the female. Remember there's a time in Europe when the females were burned at the stake because they were called witches. Within African tradition, ancient culture, sits the woman at the highest level of the family structure. So we don't want to maintain that notion anymore of woman being inferior, and of woman coming out of the ribs of man, and then the man becomes an oppressor to the woman. We have to leave that story for the Europeans. We have to redefine and rewrite our own story and elevate the female, because male and female, according to the mythology, created them. And in that unity, there is man. Capital M, capital A, capital N. That is a race to which I belong. So, metamorphosis speaking to the females, speaking to mythology, speaking to the man them, recognizing that within the concept of man is the female. Leadership, of course, has been a theme, an issue when you speak about male and female. Who should lead? And in that African context, there is no struggle as to who is the leader. Because the male, by nature, adopts the role of leader. It doesn't make the woman powerless. Because the woman has power over her family, she has power over space, that is her home, and she doesn't feel inferior in any way. We don't have to knock her in her head and drag her by her hair over her shoulder to take her home. That's not African culture. Before we engage in even children, we normally have to meet with both families. And they explore each other's generation to see if they can identify which spirit will come forward when these two people meet and decide to have children. It's a very important process that we seem to have lost. Now we just slam bam, and then the picnic can come. And then the responsibility of the child is not there because the act wasn't carried out within the consciousness. So the metamorphosis is saying that as we move forward to this 2013 era, and as we speak about the world coming to an end, perhaps it's the time for a new beginning. Yeah, a new beginning in relations, where black females and black males begin to see themselves as divinities. And the pursuit is no longer just for the sex, but it's more towards building relations. Because, you know, it's relationship that we need, you know. It's not love, it's relationship. In those relations, we continue to grow our consciousness. Metamorphosis.
Styles FM Radio, Portland's biggest, hottest radio.
Africa unite, 'cause we're moving right out of Babylon, and we're going to our father's land. Yeah. How good and how pleasant it would be before God and man. Yeah. To see the unification of all Africans. Yeah. Has it been said already? Let it be done. Yeah. We are the children of the Rastaman. We are the children of the Higher Man. Africa unite, 'cause the children wanna come home. Yeah, yeah. Africa unite, 'cause we're moving right out of Babylon, and we're grooving to our father's land. Yeah. How good and how pleasant it would be before God and man to see the unification of all Rastaman. Yeah. Has it been said already? Let it be done. I tell you who we are under the sun. We are the children of the Rastaman. We are the children of the Higher Man. So Africa unite, Africa unite, yeah. Unite for the benefit of your people. Unite for it's later than they think. Unite for the benefit of your children. Unite for it's later than they think. Africa, await its creators. Africa, awaiting its creators.
This is Styles.
Yeah. Metamorphosis. Moving into our new section. Because as we make the journey through, we go into another section now, looking into international news. Things that are happening that are going to impact on even right here on the island here in Jamaica. Now, I keep speaking about the Mars rover. I think it's a very important event taking place. And that though we don't see any black presence, black people must be aware of this very important development happening in technology. Because the rover is called a Curiosity. And it is resolving a lot of the curiosity that the Europeans have about deep space, about the origin of the solar system, things that the Africans once had known as everyday language, everyday knowledge, the solar system, astronomy. What the Curiosity is doing now is searching out, number one, whether the planet Mars once had any form of life. Now, somebody might want to wonder, really, what is so important about that? What is so important about whether Mars could have had some form of Earth life, some form of life, supported life system there? The project is costing $2.5 billion. This is American money. This is a project, this is a mission. The journey to Mars is 352 million miles. Just taking 8.5 months. Now, there are a lot of black people I know who are very, very skeptical about this type of information. There are many people who still believe that nobody really even got to Mars, got to the moon. And there are many who don't accept that there's a God. But them believe in, what I say now, them don't accept that man went to the moon, but them believe in a God. Now, you see that moon thing? There are many persons who think that it's all camera trick. And that the man them really don't never go anywhere and it's just a big deception. But you know what I use to balance myself now? In knowing whether the information is correct? I have to depend on the Chinese. Because, you see, because the Chinese are not really aligned to the white men and their space research, they are there to contradict and to counteract information that will be false. And to date, the Chinese have not only contradicted the moon issue, they have now set up their own space station to get to the moon itself. So I'm saying that it's about time we take our head out of the sand, like the proverbial ostrich, and begin to face reality. Space is a reality. Those of you know who believe in that there is really a creator now and a higher power that made all these things, and that we must worship and give homage to this thing. What does this thing have to do now with man going to Mars? Is it that men have now, human beings have gone beyond heaven? Because the illusion is that this is the only place that where God made men. So what is the search for other type of life if this is the only place in which man was made? Contradiction, conflict, and science and technology is breaking down religious beliefs. So I am thinking it is very important that we sort of pay attention to what's happening on Mars. The thing is going to be there for a couple of years, I hope. They say it has landed near the Martian equator. It has made its first journey. It has traveled 23 feet. So after traveling 352 million miles, the man them started up and they moved it 23 feet. It took them 16 minutes to move that rover 23 feet on Mars. This is a serious amount of thing going on, you know. And we are here being shot down in front of mines. We are here struggling for economic parity. And we see a project that costs $2.5 billion. It shows us that there's a priority, and the priority is for space. And if we black people don't pay attention, I'm telling you, we're going to end up being slaves, working on some of these distant colonies, trying to find minerals that can give more power to travel into deeper space. Stay alert. Metamorphosis is here.
You
What's going on? Man, they're on Mars. Yeah, don't reach there yet, but the vehicle is there. Yeah, I'm going to keep speaking about this, because I don't think we are aware of it to the extent that we need to be. I'm saying that there's a little rover, a car-sized rover, that is nuclear-powered, a six-wheeler that is being driven by some men from NASA. And these men are sitting in Houston, manipulating a vehicle 352 million miles away. That is, I think is absolutely fantastic in terms of technology. The thing has landed in a place that they call Bradbury Landing. Why Bradbury? It's a name of an author who did some writing, what was called the Martian Chronicles. So right away, a Earthman, take him name and put it on a place on Mars, and that's how the place name now. So they have the authority to name places. At the same time on planet Earth, we have a man who would say he's a legend. And the man tell himself he can't call himself a legend because they have not approved of it. I want to show the island where the power is resting now. The power is resting in the Europeans. And until we recognize those forces and begin to do things to prepare ourselves, we're going to be only consumers, because all the research and the technology that is created by these projects are simply consumed by black people. We consume, but we don't create these products. So this little six-wheeler, car-sized vehicle that is now rolling on the red planet is searching for microbial life, because they're hunting for chemicals that are the building blocks of life. So once they find these chemicals, they will tell us, and we have no idea and no way to rebut it. We can only consume the information now that's coming from curiosity. Obama himself congratulated the rover team and tell them that they must be careful about finding Martians. Look here, it's going to be the new way of making money. You know. You will have more Martian movie. I hear that there's a DJ called Martian. Maybe him perceive what was going on and see what was going to happen. But years ago in the 69, 70s, the whole idea was about the moon. Everything now has shifted to Mars. And we are waiting to see what will be the research. Will they tell us that people live inside Mars? Will they tell us that Mars has the minerals that they can mine? We have to wait. And in that waiting, there's war building up on the earth. Because the war in Syria is real. The spreading of the war to Turkey is real. Damascus, all of these places now are under siege. So on the planet Earth, the really war is taking place. We find that the Israelis, the Iranians, all are engaging in what we call bullying tactics. We are also involved in a year of elections in the United States. And the American government tends not to change when America is involved in a war. You hardly change a commander-in-chief if the country is in a war. So I'm saying between now and November, the option is there for great conflagration to involve the United States and to keep the Obama regime in power. All things are connected. Then you see the people in Greece, they are threatening to pull out of the Eurozone. And we here in Jamaica would suffer greatly if the Eurozone was to collapse. Because the Eurozone collapse would lead to a further recession in the United States. And the Western Union remittance lines, which have been drying up recently, would probably come to a complete halt. We here in Jamaica are living on a very thin edge, because so much of our economics is depending on what happens out in the greater world. That when there's a shake-up in Europe and there's a shake-up in America, we feel the effects right here in Jamaica. It's getting very tricky.
Rastafari, a spectacle and jacure. Rise it. Rise it. Hey. And chant, bongo man, chant and Rastafari, until we reach the sky. Meditation feels so outfly.
Yo, man, if you go chant and pray, I stand and they keep the devil away. Just on me, never you go astray. You no better chant and pray, I stand and they keep the devil away. Just on me, never you go astray. Yes, them confused. Them no know how we throat fi choose. Them and the devil gone pan truth. Yes, them confused. Them no know how we throat fi choose. Yes, the devil go blow them fuse. Yes, the devil go jam them and him wind them and him die them and him sign them. Rasta man come here fi remind them. Yo, me a fair. Yeah, mama me go me yell me king. Righteousness I'm on rising. Jacure, you keep the fire burning.
Touch on bongo man, chant and Rastafari, until you reach the sky. Meditation feels so high, outfly.
Yeah, South Africans need to rise up. Apartheid is alive and well. Yeah, in South Africa, again about the platinum mines, that the black people have decided to resist enslavement. And in that resistance, they have been met with force, gunfire, killing 40 people and leaving thousands and people dislocated. I wonder if you know what platinum is. Platinum, a very, very expensive and rare metal. When you look at what platinum is and what it is, where is it found, we find that the mines in which the South Africans are working right now, it's called the Landmin mine. It's the world's third biggest platinum producer. So give you a little context around this strike. It's the world's third largest platinum producer. This is a mine where the black people have decided to resist. And in this mine is found one of the rarest elements in the earth. That is platinum. One of the rarest elements in the earth. And what makes it so interesting is that this element is found mostly in South Africa. And South Africa has 80% of the world's production. So look at it. 80% of the world's production of platinum is in South Africa. And South Africa is being controlled by these Europeans who have the African population enslaved and working in these mines for this most metal, this metal that they call a noble metal. And you know, we are not the owners. We still don't own the mines. We are the slaves to bring the minerals to the surface that they can be used in their industries, various industries. It's been used in the dental industry. It's used in the space industry. It's a very, very important metal. And we don't recognize that as much as they are telling that Africa is a land of suffering and poverty, in the land, in the mines, are some of the most important and precious minerals. And so the platinum mine strike, maybe this is the beginning of a new form of resistance. Because in Sharpeville in 1960, that massacre was the beginning of armed resistance against the apartheid regime. Maybe it is time for the resistance to rearm itself and to really challenge these minority owners who control these mines. All the diamonds, all the platinum comes from the mines in South Africa.
All those
yeah. Sticky, sticky, you're there. Yeah. Slippery, slippery, you're there. Yeah. Some full of trickery, you're there. Whoa, one lip and up, you're there. You're ragged and dirty, you're there. And some night that's smutty, you're there. King Rastafari, King Rastafari, King Rastafari, King Rastafari. Protect we out there. Never left we out there. No. Father, we see your blessing. Every day your children cry. All those some of us are missing. There's no life up and I can die. Father, we see your blessing. Every day your children cry. All those some of us are missing. There's no life up and I can die. Many a times our heart grieves. You see the things Babylon none of them sleep. Equal rights and justice.
Yeah. Locally, equal rights and justice is on the agenda. Yes, a sergeant arrested a driver, tried to give him a ticket, and in passing on the ticket, it is reported that amongst the documents that were given to the policeman was $2,000. The policeman decided, say, you can't buy me for that. Because did he know that this man had connections into the highest echelons of society? And the Virgin called his Virgin who was high up in the political arena. And he called his Virgin who was high up in the police arena. One set a link up. And this humble and servant of the state, trying to carry out his job, is now faced with a whole heap of psychological problems, both for himself and his family. How this one's going to play out, we don't know. But one thing is sure, the entire Jamaica is looking very, very keenly. Because there's an injustice in the society. And it's often spoken about the rich being able to buy their way out of legal difficulties, and the poor being unable. And so the poor end up in the jails and in the doghouse, and the rich end up traveling away. This case has brought some very, very high-profile people to the front. Something that the society suspected long time, never really had a case. Now we have a case. Will it be a turning point in the history of our country? Is it a sign of really rebuffing the fact that the money man have all the talk? Very, very critical junction we reach now. We're talking about becoming a republic, talking about shaking off the queen. We have to shake off the corruption and the bias to those who have wealth. And so we're going to see how this one work out. Politician, policeman, businessman, all caught up in this web of things. Yeah, this is not even a scam. This is deeper than a scam. And we're going to watch carefully how they resolve it and what will be the outcome of the policeman and his family. Because we hear reputations are now being threatened and people's life work is being threatened. Look here, the law ought to be the law. You know the biggest problem in Jamaica is the enforcement of the law. There's a problem of laws in Jamaica. Now we have more laws in the book than what Moses talk about. You see, enforcement is the problem. So, whole heap of friend and company, man just get on the phone and call a man and the thing just dismiss. We have had cases where a man shoot youth and could call a man who could help him to leave the country. So you see, the solution to this Jamaican problem after 50 years of political independence is not about setting more warrior cars and running and winning medals. That's a big deception. The issue is about the wealthy and the educated elite and the discrimination that is dominant in this country. Discrimination because of race, discrimination because of religious orientation. So we have a lot of things to do to clean up this island, and it begins at the top. Yeah, this place cannot be cleaned up from the bottom. The bottom needs cleaning up, you know. But because the place is small and people model each other's behavior, the best place to change this place is from the top. Top meaning governance. It means sometimes men who are big must go to prison. Yeah, but they must serve sentence. They must do time. Yeah, but because this law is law, you know. Law is law. And in the United States, where some of the higher profile people, when they're arrested, they go to jail. And them serve them time, and everything is everything. So, look, remember Stanford? Stanford had billions, you know. And where Stanford is now? Stanford's serving time. Because the thing about America, you know, we like to emulate America, you know. But this is when it comes to certain aspects of discipline and behavior, we not take that part there. Yeah, we take the hooligan side and the side we will look like a wild. Yeah, but you see, in the States, once you are arrested, you know, you are arrested and the full force of the law comes to bear. So if we want to be Americans, let us begin to do some of the better practices that we see in America. Now, I ride on the public transportation, and I'm going to say something. It's the JUTC bus, them, the yellow one, them, are the nicest thing to drive upon. I tell you, I them now, you know, it's air conditioned, it is timely, and what I've Virgin noticed is that certain kind of, what we call boogie-aggy people, them don't ride a bus there, you know, because that bus don't go too fast. That bus move on a type of schedule. So there's no excitement and nice on the bus. I find it's very, very pleasant. Very, very pleasant. Those yellow buses in Kingston and that air-conditioned setting play very, very, very quiet music. I think it's an excellent way to travel. The whole island should have access to that type of transportation. And then again now, the higher prices. I think now we're going to go into reality. The back to school is on us here in Jamaica. And back to school is about rock pocket time. Because the back to school thing takes away all of the little resources that the people save up during the summer. It goes into books that cost some ridiculous prices that students use once or twice for the semester. It's all about newness, and the reality of our economics is settling in. We heard about the bitter medicine. It's going to be put on us now by the IMF itself, because the present government really has no control over these prescriptions. And so bus fares, food, I think we're heading into a September to remember. Let us not lose sight, though, of an important principle in law, that you're never guilty until you're proven guilty. In other words, we acknowledge everybody to be innocent until proven guilty.
I'll be waiting. Anytime you need a lover, call on me. My heart is aching. Call on me. Anytime you want to. Call on me. Baby girl, I want you. We grew together from way back when. She was 9 and I was 10. She used to be my next door neighbor. She even went to school with my sister Makeda. Yeah. Now we're two grown folks. Years gone by and we still keep close. Loving me, I'm loving her the same. I just want you to know that I love you so.
Rolino, what's Pele now? What a beautiful goal from Pele. El Rey.
The way that Maradona has been able to do. And he's hurting England again here. This brilliant run. It's one of the world's great goals.
Set.
They get away first time. Tyson Gay right alongside Usain Bolt, but here he goes, streaking away already. It's Bolt all the way. He's looking round at Gay. Watch the clock. It's goal for Bolt, and again he's done it again. A new world record for Usain Bolt. They say lightning doesn't strike twice. The world belongs to Bolt. Berlin belongs to Bolt. 9.58.
London belongs to both.
You coulda run, 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 run
Yeah, boy, Mr. Man, run. Johan Blake, 9.69. Them can't catch him. Hey, this little island here, you know, it is really a powerful space. It's so distressing that the leaders can't take the example from the runners and just perform. Yeah, man, just perform and let us give you some medals. Let us award you gold, silver, and bronze. Maybe we should do that for the politicians and leaders, you know. We should begin to each year give them an award, whether they get a bronze or not. But Johan Blake, 9.69. Obviously, this young man now has established himself as the second fastest man on this earth in terms of athletics. And so the coach, we must praise the coach for improving these two athletes and taking them to the world highest level of athletics. And then we must recognize also that our high schools, which is really the nursery for all these runners, should be the beneficiaries of these exploits by these runners. A lot of investment has been spent. They say £1 million. But I'm not so sure if much of it, the returns will be directed towards these high schools. Your high schools all of them deserve a track. Yes, can you imagine if every high school in Jamaica had a proper track? Infrastructure is what is lacking in our sporting development. And infrastructure cannot be built by government. I am saying government can be partners, but it is time that the wealthy individuals begin to put their own resources into building infrastructure. And I begin to address myself to the Honorable Dr. Bolt that perhaps it's time that I help to put down a Bolt Stadium. Yes, what you call state-of-the-art stadium. That will be your legacy to maintain the legendary movements that the eye is on. There's also an issue of Asafa Powell, who many think has now fallen from glory. But we are being reminded that Asafa was the shining star before the emergence of Bolt and Blake. And we tend to have a very short memory. And those who are now condemning Asafa should really take another look at themselves, take their own achievements, and see whether they are being fair in trying to condemn this man for what he has not done. Then, of course, there is Nestor Carter and Michael Frater, oftentimes not given much credit, but in the 4x100, it is proven that it is their legs that have been able to take the national team to these world records. Irrespective of whether Bolt, Blake, or Powell runs, it is Nestor Carter and Michael Frater who have been the consistent speedmen in getting us those sort of relay medals. Then, of course, the legend is an issue. And Bolt, of course, is defining himself as a legend. And his next Olympics, it would be great if he would just give the 100 a rest and simply do the 2 and the 4, and the 4x4, and the 4x1, and just wrap up everything as Superman. Next Olympics, call it a quits, go on to your movies and building of your greater empire. Metamorphosis is looking at sports.
Girl, to know that I'm a true
trying to conquer me. You never will conquer me. You're trying to conquer me. You never will conquer me. You're going around and saying you are the greatest. Is it the right thing to do? No, no, no. You're simply frowning, begging for mercy. I'm gonna prove it to you. You're trying to conquer me.
We're still looking in the world of athletics. And the great America has fallen to this island, Jamaica, in athletics. Yes, there are times when Americans boasted that the Jamaicans were only good athletes because they trained in America. And that they were never able to rise to the level of world beaters because they depended on the American technology and American universities for their training site. But through vision and perseverance, and Stephen Francis and Glenn Mills, MVP, they have revolutionized the whole attitude towards preparation here on the island. And now America can no longer claim any more of our records. They are now being created by Jamaican athletes who are living and training in Jamaica. The same doesn't say much for our football, because our football lacks the level of coaching that there is in athletics. And in athletics, the speed factor that has been shown not only by the men, but by the women, goes beyond simply the slave experience. Because there are slaves there also in Barbados, and there are slaves in Grenada, and there are slaves in Trinidad. But we're not seeing the sprinters there, we're seeing the sprinters here in Jamaica. So those who are trying to make slavery as the point are overlooking an important aspect of the black people, male and female. They're overlooking the power of the melanin. Yes, the power of the melanin. Yes, serious forces locking in the people who lack melanin. Yes, it's Reggae Boys time. World Cup time is on us here in Jamaica. And in September 7th, it will be Jamaica versus the USA. And the motto is, no way, USA. Very, very critical junction for the World Cup campaign. America is, of course, favorite for winning the group. Jamaica is favored for finishing second in the group. The other two teams are Guatemala and this island in the Caribbean, Antigua. This match will define the outcome in the group. What is simply necessary to understand here is that because America is favored to win the group, it is suggested that all teams in the group will lose to America. Now, America has already defeated Antigua. They were unable to defeat Guatemala. And Guatemala were able to secure a draw with America. Now, America is going to play Jamaica. And Jamaica needs at least to guarantee a draw to stay pace with Guatemala. Because the battle technically is for second place. Because America has won a match and has drawn a match. So technically they're leading on 4 points. We also have 4. But the thing is that we have not played the Americans yet. And so this match on September 7th would be a piece of history for Jamaica to throw down on the United States, right here in Jamaica. A draw would also be sufficient. But if you look at the worst case scenario, losing to America would not eliminate the team if America continues to beat everybody else. The important game is America at home, America at away, and Guatemala away. The reggae boys need to pull something special out against the United States. We have never beaten America before at the World Cup level. Can we do what has been impossible to date? Time and time alone will tell. September 7th, National Stadium, USA versus Jamaica.
Something that I like to say. It's rather colorful, but I'll say it anyway. Black is our color, and black is our name. Health, strength, prosperity, and wisdom is okay. 'Cause black we are, and black we will always be. Black in the sight of everyone is so beautiful to see. Ah, da da, baby, yeah. Come
yes,
on
and why are you
show
black?
me how really black.
Why are you black? And are you black? How do you define yourself as we speak about being black? There are some people who say it with great pride and say, yes, I'm black and I'm proud. There are some who say they are not black, that they are brown. Some of you point to the shoes, the color of your shoes and say they're not like that because that's what black is. So we have a lot of difficult ways of perceiving ourselves. But I want to just try to bring it to the item from a biological perspective. This blackness that is shared by the Africans in the mines, it's shared by the Africans on this island, it's shared by the people of melanin. This blackness is not caused by the sun. The blackness that we speak about is caused by the activities of a gland that is in our head. And this gland is stimulated by light, sunlight. And in that stimulation, it functions at the night. And at the night, it's created a chemical called melatonin. And melatonin is secreted by the pineal gland. And that is the source of the melanin in our skin. So the blackness that we have is a biologically given gift. The Europeans would like us to think that the blackness is a curse, when it's really the absence of melanin that is the curse. Because in the absence of melanin, people cannot survive under the almighty sun. So the giver of life becomes a sign of death to the people who lack melanin. It is the pineal eye that black people need to open. It is the pineal gland. In some cultures, it's called one of the chakras, the highest chakra, the seventh chakra. It's called the seventh seal in Christian doctrine. And if we can open the seventh seal, if we can loosen the seventh seal, we shall open the eye, that all-seeing eye that dwells within the consciousness. So it is the melanin of the skin that gives us our unique distinction. It is the melatonin generated by the pineal gland that is responsible for the melanin in our skin. And out of the melanin, we find that there are solar-powered cells. High energy, solar energy stored in the blackness of our skin. That's perhaps where the speed comes from our black athletes. Melanin, pigment cells, pineal gland, make we know ourselves, make we know who we are.
You got to know what you're for. Yeah. Black am I, why should I stray? My roots and my culture are so me a go stay. Black am I, like who must I say? Martin Luther King or Marcus Garvey. Black am I, why should I stray? My roots and my culture are so me a go stay. Black am I, like who Martin Luther King or Marcus. There are some phalanx out there who I really adore. Love money, yes, and that's for sure. We never had enough, and so they fight for more. They keep on pounding on the freedom door. Just not the same since they came. Black integrity, and they stood for the name. Arrive at the aim, though they never got the fame. Afterwards it came. Black am I, why should I stray? My roots and my culture are so me a go stay. Black am I, like who must I say? You see him what ready the bitch the other day. Black am I, why should I stray? My roots and my culture are so me a go stay. Black am I, like who must I say? Try to get the color going, it come back same way, yo. Hold your ground and wear no frown. Totally will be here when that trumpet sound, yo. Keep that faith, don't you ever hate. Blessed is the meek, the reward is great. Hail King Selassie, I know that it is straight. Earth is the fullness of which he created.
An important thing that we need to recognize that we speak about blackness is that in our school system, we are told about colors. We are trained to perceive colors through our observation of the rainbow. And in that observation, we notice that there are 7 colors: violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. These are called hues. So there's 7 hues in light, because the colors of the rainbow really are the diffraction of light. So when we break up light, we get these 7 colors. And what we observe is that within those colors, there's no black. So black really is not a hue. So the black man is not a human. Yes, the black man is a natural man, because black is natural. Think about it, definition-wise, within Skin Deep, that black is really the absorption of all light. And the black man is not a human, but the black man is simply the race is called man. I just want to heal up a few people before we get out of this edition. I want to heal up the people them out in Golden Grove, seeing Sewell, and all the tech ball of them, and the people along that coast corridor there, the corridor of rough driving, roughest corridor in the whole island to travel through. But we hear the people in that section and all the taxi drivers and the man them who have to be on the roads, bringing in the capital to keep the system moving. You know, in this little segment here, I was talking about alpha and women and love. You know, we have a way that we connect male and female. Years ago, when males and females met, 20, 30 years ago, the notion was that it was a thing called spirit tech. That's what brought people together. What we like with a man? Boy, my spirit just take him. We like with a daughter? Boy, my spirit take her. So this thing called spirit tech was something that used to guide I and I in building relations. No, you see, the spirit tech thing is a serious thing, because it shows that we recognize within our identity an aspect of ourselves called spirit. And that the spirit has a consciousness that can connect to other spirits. Yeah, man, so people link up in the spirit world, African people, through the skin. We have these vibrations that emanate from our skin, and we can link up. So, spirit tech, I don't hear any other culture talk about spirit tech, Maybe some people talk about love at first sight. Now, I'm not so sure what that really means, because I don't know what the love concept is about, but I know about spirit. And when it's spirit tech, it means that, there's a link, intuitive connection. But let's see, the love thing is very European and very organized. No spirit movement, no, it, it planned. It's so planned that there's a sort of courtship, and the man must provide certain things first, and the woman provides certain things as a whole stage show. And in all of that type of love, this European version that they give us, they call it romantic love. No, you see, if you're a Roman, then that's the type of loving you need to get involved in. This romantic love. You see, if you're an African, there must be a different approach to love. Because this romantic love, there's a lot of acting and posing. Yes, and a lot of illusions are created. And there's a sort of sense that the man is pursuing this something and the woman is pretending that she's not going to give him. But he must give certain things first. And we have a whole mixed-up idea of what love is. It's a spirit tech. It just cut through all of the rubbish and get to the essence. Guys, if the spirit don't take, you just not take either. But sometimes people's spirit don't take, but them love. So the love is questionable. Because it's about love of what? Certainly not the person. Because when your spirit take the person, at the person you take. But you see the love, you can love them for their money. You can love them for what you think they may have. The thing becomes confusing. And at the essence of spirit tech, it must be care. Because you have to care for whatever your spirit tech. There are people who love and don't care. Very, very confusing. Metamorphosis. Trying to work it out.
Well, alright now. Ooh, yeah. Well, alright. When you're feeling blue, here's what you should do. Pick up your telephone and call me. Just dial and call, and I'll be there. Pick up your telephone and call me.
We need some African
Just
sick
dial
love.
and call, and I'll be there.
We need to shift our philosophy from Rome.
I may take a little time to get there, oh baby.
Become African tick.
But don't be patient, just relax and I'll be there. Pick up your telephone and call me. Just dial and call, and I'll be there.
This is the voice of Al Campbell.
If your shoe is too big for your feet, find one that will fit your needs. Don't put your hats where ends can't reach. Don't be an oversized man. Oh no. Don't be an oversized man. Yeah.
made for us all. And I know Satan's kingdom must fall, because you can't run away when the master calls. You got to stand up like Judas and Saul. Don't be an oversized man. Oh no. Look and learn while you can.
Well, I say it's on divine man, just the Emperor Yeli Haile Selassie. You know me say? King Elephant Queen Omega. Modern Father of Iration. Sizzla Kalanje. Rastafari. No, you're not.
Healing up your child, and healing up your daughter. Yeah, yes, ja and ja and ja.
Like mountains round about Jerusalem. So we say, Selassie, around higher than I, like mountains round about Jerusalem. So we say, Selassie, around higher than I. Singers and DJs, if you're pretty, call them mockers. Come like you come here, figure Babylon crackers. Babylon cool, you let her fry you like fritters. Roll on, no it like say, only the hikers, only free up the knowledge for the youth and you producers. Worse, littering is all your litters. Flattering lips, this I jump you like bitters. All TV personnel and all radio announcers. Hey, journalists just get this in your
Yeah, Metamorphosis signing out for another edition. Want to give thanks to the engineer for holding fort. Yes. Yeah, man, that human dynamo, you know. Yes, Blacko, senior man. I want to hear about Huel, CEO of this movement called Styles FM. And of course, we're thanking all those who participate by listening, whether in cyberspace or by radio. But we give thanks for your linking to Styles FM and the Metamorphosis. People in Europe, Africa, Asia, the Caribbean, Bombrook, Port Antonio, Harborview, California, Osa, I'm a bridging out in St. Catherine. We give thanks again. Django, Tilly, Sir D. Yes, and of course, Valerie. Dirks, we can't leave you out of the mix. And the people in Pastor Rastafari, let's take care of the I and I. I'm on Blak out.
This is Styles FM 96.1 on your FM dial.